What is up, guys? Welcome back to OverTakes. This is Misfit, and it is finals week. So today I'm going to start my team previews for the finals. We're going to do Seoul to start off the day. So I'm going to have 2 videos out today, and then 2 out tomorrow, and then Wednesday we're going to do a whole wrap-up predictions, what we think is going to happen in the matches, where we think the teams are going to end up, and ultimately the grand final match and the overall winner who we're going to pick. And of course, later on in the week, during the matches and things like that, I'll be on social media and discussing the matches, probably somewhere after the couple of ones, especially ones that start 5 o'clock my time, which is Eastern. But we'll also do a little bit of wrap-up on those days, quick wrap-ups, nothing like too long or anything like that. And then, of course, we'll wrap up the whole thing next week and talk about the match and the finals and how everything went. But first, before we dive into our team breakdowns, team reviews, whatever you want to call it, team preview, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me. Everybody out there on YouTube, thank you very much. All of your support's been greatly appreciated. If you're new, please hit a like, hit a subscribe. I do Overwatch League content multiple times a week. This week is going to be a little heavy on content because we got a lot going on. It's the grand finals, guys. This is what we've been waiting for. We've been sitting around for a good 3 weeks now. It's time to see who our 2020 champion's going to be. We got 4 great teams in there. It's going to be fun. Hopefully we get a better final match than we've gotten in the first 2 seasons where they've been kind of roll jobs. I'm pretty optimistic that we're going to at least have a few matches to talk about in a good way, not just, wow, they really stomped. But there's always fun things to find in matches, even if they're one-sided. Sometimes watching teams play really well is just as good as watching a close match where you get a closer match and it's a nail-biter and that kind of thing. Sometimes watching greatness is just as good, at least in my opinion. Today, we're going to talk about the Seoul Dynasty. So, we're going to break them down a little bit. We're not going to go crazy in depth. I'm not going to tell you the lineage of their tank line, where they started playing Overwatch and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going that crazy. But we're going to talk about this season, and this is going to go for all 4 teams, too. I'm going to talk about, this season, how they performed, what I thought of them, where they are now, and then we're going to go over strengths, weaknesses, what they can do to get to the final match, and who to watch on the team. Alright, so let's get into this. So, let's talk about the Seoul Dynasty. This team, I tell you, guys, this team, and if you've been with the channel, this team drives me insane. I want to like them. I love... Prophet's my favorite player in the league, has been since Season 1, and I was looking forward to watching this team with him, Gesture, and just revitalizing Seoul and bringing them to where everyone thought they should be in Season 1, back into prominence, or into prominence. Hard to say back into prominence. Yeah, they had the Lunatic High roster. I think Toby's the only guy left from that. They purged all that. They came in, fresh start, kind of did a whole total revamp, and of course we had the COVID thing happen, and a lot of things went a little sideways to start. They were very inconsistent throughout the whole year. They went on a stretch where they, I believe, from July 4th until somewhere around the Showdown tournament, they didn't win a map, let alone win a match. And then, the thing with them the whole year has been, we'll talk about the roster in a minute, but just we're doing a brief overview of the team. But even before that, they would, beat Shanghai, then lose to Chengdu, get 3-0'd by Hangzhou, beat Guangzhou. And then you look at some of the things that they did positively, it was always in a tournament. They were very, very much invested in the tournaments. They didn't seem to do much in regular matches. I don't know what it was, preparation, motivation, any of that kind of stuff, but they were very inconsistent. And when this team plays well, they are and should be in consideration with the other 3 teams in this. Yeah, and we'll get into this later on when we talk about them, a lot of it has to do with the meta right now and how well they play individually as a team, if that makes any sense to you guys. What I'm saying is the Roadhog, Gesture on the Roadhog, he can go for picks, he can do flanks, he can do different things. It's not as reliant as with a cohesive unit playing a style like we were playing most of the year with the double shield, where you had to rely on everybody. It was kind of like goats. This is a little goaty, but not to that extent, because you have a lot more pick potential. There's a lot less reliance on, at least the comps that we're seeing from Seoul. Once we got to the Summer Showdown, they showed a little bit more. They were okay. And other than the Washington Justice, the one singular thing that helped Seoul out was, as I was saying, that meta shift. They were having trouble with some of them. We early on with the May Reaper comps. Then we got into some of the other stuff where they shined a little bit in the playoff type scenarios where you could run Prophet on Tracer. He picked up the Ash and he started running with that. It was very reliant on carries from Prophet or Fitz or someone, instead of being like a team win, something you would expect from a team like San Francisco, or even you can even throw the Dragons in there. They're a little heavy reliant on single player doing God's work and just being on fire. When that happens, especially when you got guys like Prophet or Gesture, you're going to look really good. And this is fitting, the meta is fitting in to their strengths with the reliance on the individual pick potentials and the carries and all that kind of stuff. This is working out for them. So what are we going to see roster-wise from this team? They have a lot of different parts on this team that they can run, but it seems as though when they're running their favored comps right now, which has been a lot of Roadhog Sigma with the tank line. We're getting Gesture and Marvel, and then whatever they're running on supports, whether it's Inyata or Anna, Lucio, Moira, Mercy, whatever's going on. We're generally getting Toby and Creative. A little bit different than I expected. I thought, we'd see a lot more Bedosian because he has a lot more experience, but Creative seems to be doing the job just fine. And then DPS, we have Prophet and Fitz. Fitz, we're getting a lot of different stuff out of him. Same thing with Prophet. We're going to see the heroes that these guys play well from them a lot. We're gonna get Prophet on. We're going to see him on, Tracer, Ash, Pharah, Reaper probably at points here and there, especially if they have things like Anubis and then that kind of stuff going on in it. Fitz, he's going to be your other guy going with some Sombra. Maybe you're going to see him play a little bit of Ash if they're running a Pharah or something like that. You can run Tracer Pharah, you can run Sombra Pharah. They're going to do a lot of different things. All right, so let's talk about the strengths of this team. Now, we touched on some of it. Prophet's versatility is one of the big things, and Prophet and Gesture liking to play in these situations. I think this is a huge strength for them. Yeah, it's kind of an intangible strength. It's the been there, done that, and it seems like they enjoy it. Both of them, they enjoy the high pressure situations, and they come out and perform. I think that Fitz and Prophet are their biggest strengths, and to an extent a little bit of their weakness too, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Also, running Marvel and Gesture on heroes that they really like to play and are good at is working in their favor. So this is a strength for this team. This meta is a very big strength for this team. It fits their style of play. It fits what they like to play, what they're comfortable on. You got guys like Toby playing Mercy and occasionally playing Lucio. Creative doing the flex support stuff. It's working in their favor. You can get Prophet on Tracer, Pharah, Hanzo if necessary. Widowmaker occasionally picked that up in the last, who knows, not too long. Getting these guys on heroes that they're comfortable on. Normally I would have said Gesture would be comfortable on Winston, but he isn't as good on Winston as guys like Fearless and right now in this Final Four, Fearless, I would say he's probably on par with Smurf, maybe a little bit better. Same thing with Sato. Sato's playing a little bit better this year. It's just that he doesn't seem as comfortable on it. And the Roadhog is proving to be a great comfort pick for him. And that's a big strength that they have. I also want to say mechanical skill is also one of their biggest strengths. They have mechanical gods on this team that can do just about anything that you need them to do. They're not afraid of playing high skill heroes, and they play them at a really high level. So those are the strengths I see in this team. So, just kind of recapping it, guys on comfort picks, the ability to be able to play that individual hard carry with Gesture and Prophet, and occasionally Fitz when he gets to do that. Sometimes Marvel can do that on Sigma, but this works out really well for them. And of course, like I was just saying, the mechanical skill factor. I think they're really, really underrated in that category. For some reason, it just, you're always talking mechanical gods, you're talking Carpe, EQO, Fleta. Yeah, Prophet gets thrown there a little bit. The other guys are good too. So I wouldn't discount this team from doing anything in this tournament. Don't write them off. I would not write this team off. They're very inconsistent. At least they were earlier in the year. Could they get figured out? Probably. But they have the ability to switch. It's not optimal for them right now because they're doing really well in this, but they can switch and play at a decent level. I don't think they're like Washington, where if you got them off of what they were doing, they were screwed. You had to try and put Decay on Diva or something like that. This team can just flip it on a dime, and if they have to go Winston Diva dive, they can do that. Flip into whatever they need to do. Or if they want to go Winston Sigma, or however they want to run it. All right, let's talk weaknesses on this team. One of the weaknesses, the same as one of the strengths. Reliance on Prophet and Gesture having to do God's work in matches sometimes bites them in the ass. I feel like there are times when I've watched this team where they're waiting for Prophet to do something, get a 5K on Tracer, or just go nuts on Farah or something like that. I feel like that's one of the things that is hindering them right now and is a weakness. I also think heavy reliance on the current meta, in quotes, the Roadhog Sigma, how they're running it, or Roadhog Diva, relying heavily and investing too much into that without, they've had a couple of weeks where they could develop something else, keep moving on it, improve it, move it forward, however you want to spin that. But the reliance on the Roadhog could bite them in the ass in certain maps, because when you get down to it, and if they win maps, they're going to try and pick maps that Roadhog's not good. The other team's going to try and pick maps that Roadhog's not good on. You're going to see things like Watchpoint Gibraltar. You're going to see maps where it's verticality and things like that. Can they switch into stuff like that? Yes. Are they good at it? Not as good as some of these teams are at some of these comps. Also, I see a weakness as one of the other weaknesses I see is they don't play as cohesively as I would like them to with some of the comps that they're going to have to run. Their dives are a little sloppy at times. They're not good with follow-up on dives. They get the initial in with Gesture, but sometimes he goes in and just gets blown up. And I think as far as being able to play different metas extremely well, like finals worthy team well, they're a little bit off on that too. That's one of their weaknesses. If somebody decided to go in and not cheese them, but switch the comp up to something that is going to make them uncomfortable, I don't know if they can handle it properly. At times, they haven't been able to handle certain metas, so if things start switching in scrims like that, I don't know what's going to happen. But those are the weaknesses I have for this team. Now, what can they do to win? And this is get to the finals and ultimately win. What they need to do is some of the stuff that we talked about in the weaknesses. I want to see them be a little bit more cohesive on dives, because they're going to have to play some dive. And if they're running some form of a shield comp, I don't want them to rely 100% or a ton on what Prophet is doing. It's great watching him do that. He needs to be a part of the puzzle, not the answer to every question that is thrown at them or everything that's thrown at them. It's not Prophet has to go off. They have to get together and win as a team. You can't just rely on one guy all the time. I do think. Now, I'm also going to throw this in there. One of the factors that's going to help them win is going to be Prophet. I turned this into the Prophet show. It is true. When Prophet's on and he is playing at a high level, they're hard to beat. When he's a little bit off or he's getting countered or just he's the guy, the target, to get him out of the way, sometimes they kind of crumble and fall apart. I don't want to see that from them. Be smart about your map choices, too. If you lose a map, pick something that is going to work well with your comp. Sometimes teams go with the, well, they're not good with that. Don't worry about the other team. Worry about you. Are we good at this map? No, but they're terrible. But if you're not good at that map, don't play it. I know there's a lot of strategy involved in that. Play what you're good at as far as maps go. That's one of the strategies that, at this point, these guys should be good at most maps, but everybody has their maps that they're trouble on. Even you, me, everybody else. There are maps that we're just not good on. Whether it's the architecture, the type of heroes we play, whatever. It just doesn't work out for them. Be smart about what they're picking map-wise. And the last thing I'm going to say on what they can do to win is things that they didn't do in previous tournaments, and that's when you have the lead, finish it. They've gotten reverse swept. They've had problems. Shanghai comes back on them all the time. Adjust at halftime or in the break and figure out what you're doing wrong, what's not working, and remedy it. It's just small problem-solving things I think this team needs to do because they have the guys with the talent, the amount of skill needed to be in this position. I thought they were going to be in the playoffs, top 5 type of scenario at the beginning of the year. So I forget exactly where I had them. I had them pretty high, though. Last bit on this before we wrap it up. All right, who to watch? Who are we watching on Seoul? Obviously, you're going to watch Prophet. You're going to want to watch Prophet. He's a god. He's going to do something crazy. Inevitably, he has a map where he just takes over. So he's worth watching. I also think in this match, watching Gesture and seeing where he's at, especially when he's on Roadhog, to see if it's working, not working, what's going on with that. Plus, he's a really good, entertaining to watch. One more to watch guy. I'm going to go with Creative, because it seems like he's going to have the majority of the play on flex support. So he's going to be playing the Ana, the Zen, potentially Moira or Baptiste, depending on how they run that, or they want to run it for whatever map they're doing, dependent on what they're going to run Toby on. He doesn't have the experience level of Badosin in some of these matches, but he is playing at a really high level. He played really well in a couple of the playoff games. He looked good. I think this is a key guy for them. I mean, at this point, every guy is a key guy, but your flex support is someone that has to bring the damage and do healing to an extent, especially if he's playing Ana, who he's nanoing, how the sleep darts are going, especially with me, it's the grenades, the bio grenades, how he's hitting those, if he's hitting those. It's going to be a major factor in his play. All right, so those are the guys I'm going to watch, and that is my preview of the Seoul Dynasty. My thoughts on what they're going to do, how they're going to do, players to watch, and just some general information to get some conversation going about Seoul, see what you guys think. I know we got a couple fans out there. If you're excited or not, comment down below. Definitely want to hear from you guys. Okay, so that's going to do it. I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this one. Everybody out there in YouTube land, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate all of the likes, subscribes, all the support you give me. I'm more than grateful to you guys. It means a lot to me. It really does. And let's get this conversation going. Let's start talking finals. Let's get down in the comments down below. Hit me on social media. All the links are down below. I'm trying to do some things with Discord. I'm working some stuff out right now, trying to figure out how I'm going to work that. But let's keep this conversation going. So that's going to do it for the Seoul Dynasty one. Stay tuned. A little bit later, probably early evening, we're going to have our next one up, which is going to be the Shanghai Dragons. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, this is Misfit. I'm out. Everybody stay safe. Have a good rest of your day. Come back and check out the Shanghai preview next. I will see you on that one. Talk to you guys later.